Two receivers left and right. McCown takes the snap. He steps up. He's all by himself. Fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No! No! The Cardinals have knocked the Vikings out of the playoffs!
Hey, Business of Sport class. I'm Joey Winter.
I'm Mustafa Tapamak.
And I'm Jose Landaverde. Today we'll be talking about the National Football League, and we'll trace its development, talk about commercialization, its structure, and some current issues. Hope you enjoy.
In 1869, the British sports of rugby and soccer are introduced to the United States. From these two sports, rugby immediately becomes the favourable sport amongst the major schools. Over the next 7 years, rugby became widely played throughout the United States. In 1876, at the Massasoit Convention, the first rules for the American version of rugby were written by Walter Camp. On June 24, 1922, the American Professional Football Association changed its name to the National Football League, also known as the NFL. However, this is not exactly the NFL we know today, and you'll hear more about this further into the presentation. In 1936, a rival league, the American Football League, also known as the AFL, was created to become a mirror image of the NFL. On June 8, 1966, the two rival football leagues, the NFL and the AFL, publicly declared that they will merge to form the National Football League. This league would be split into two conferences, the NFC, the National Football Conference, and the AFC, the American Football Conference. As a result of the two conferences, the Super Bowl was also created, which would be the ultimate finale of the season, where the winners of the AFC and the NFC will face off for the ultimate NFL championship title. The first two Super Bowls were heavily dominated by the NFC, the former NFL, as the Green Bay Packers easily beat the AFC teams in both finals. However, in the third Super Bowl, the New York Jets of the AFC beat the Baltimore Colts of the NFC to give the AFC their first Super Bowl victory and really kick off the NFL.
The NFL is in excellent economic position. Revenue has been on a constant increase for the past several years. In 2013, the league collected $9.53 billion in revenue, and the commissioner Roger Goodell says he expects to achieve $27 billion in revenue by 2027. The league is also the most valuable professional sports league in the entire world. With the average value of the 32 NFL teams at $1.43 billion, they surpassed the world's top 20 soccer teams by almost $500 million, also ahead of the MLB, NBA, and NHL. The Dallas Cowboys are the league's top earner. They are worth a massive $3.2 billion, just behind Real Madrid with $3.4. The league is very effective in maximizing their revenue. Ticket sales prove to be the league's strongest earner. The average Super Bowl ticket cost $8,894 that added to the estimated average of $51 million contributed by each team. The NFL has succeeded in expanding their merchandising to an international level, bringing in $2.1 billion in sales in 2010. The importance of advertising in the NFL is always clear to viewers. Games are interrupted for TV commercial timeouts, and the Super Bowl commercials are always a hit, which were priced at $4 million per 30-second ad. Venues also added revenue. Teams were able to put food, beverage, and merchandise vendors directly in front of fans at games, which allowed them to mark up prices. Lastly, licensing is always in discussion. TV networks pay about $28 billion for 9 years of air rights. In 2012, Nike signed a 5-year deal worth just over $1 billion to become the league's exclusive provider of on-field apparel. Within professional sports, there is one conflict of interest at its root that separates it from any other type of business. In corporations, management has a fiduciary responsibility to act in the shareholders' interests, essentially to earn money. In professional sports like American football, players and coaches have a responsibility to win games in order to keep their own jobs, while owners have a responsibility to achieve higher earnings.
The National Football League is run as a not-for-profit in the eyes of the Internal Revenue Service, or better known as the IRS. This is the group that collects taxes in the United States of America. This means they are tax exempt in the revenue the league itself makes. Along with that, the revenue generated is being reinvested in future plans the league has in mind. There are no dividends to be paid out, so if planning is done right, the league can continue to grow in the right direction. But unlike other not-for-profits, the NFL is considered to be a trade organization. For this reason, the tax exempt does not apply to the revenue made by the 32 individual owners. A majority of this revenue comes from sponsors, broadcasting, ticket sales, and NFL ventures. The commissioner of the NFL is Roger Goodell. As commissioner, Mr. Goodell is deemed as the face of the NFL. However, he works for the 32 owners of the league, as they voted him on to become commissioner and also have the right to take away his duties. The owners expect the commissioner to promote the public face of football, making sure they stay profitable. There are 32 owners in the league, one for each franchise. These individuals sign off on the rules of the game, as well as any significant change to the league would have to go through the owners who would vote on the proposal.
One of the most prevalent and urgent issues that NFL is facing is the concussion crisis. Football is undoubtedly a very violent sport. While a sport like rugby is similar, it is more centered around wrapping up a ball carrier and bringing him to the ground. Football is an impact sport. In every play of every practice, players hit their head. It is estimated that players hit their head between 1,000 and 1,500 times a year with about 20 G's of force, the equivalent of a 35-mile-per-hour car crash. In 1992, Dr. Bennett Amalu found the first case of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE. Symptoms of CTE include memory loss, confusion, impaired judgment, impulse control problems, aggression, depression, anxiety, suicidality, Parkinsonism, and eventually progressive dementia. Since then, 76 of 79 deceased players examined have been diagnosed. Regardless of all the evidence, the league continues to deny that there is a link between football and CTE. A class action lawsuit from over 4,500 former players claiming that NFL fraudulently concealed the danger to their brains settled for $765 million, but without the admission of liability by the league. While they are not taking responsibility, the league has imposed rule changes and established initiatives to improve safety.